everybody. Tom Lynch. Let's give him some love. Tom, that was amazing. Thank you so much. That is a Michael Gott song, I Fly. It's been one of my faves for many, many years, and it's just, you can feel it, can't you? Didn't you just feel it? And I absolutely love that. Thank you so much, Tom. Spectacular. And I want to thank Ed. Ed and Lori are my dear, beloved friends from Philadelphia. They're in for the week visiting, and Ed performed his Native American flute during our prayer and meditation this morning. And Ed and Lori are going to be teaching the Qigong class this afternoon. So thank you so much for being here. Fills my heart. It's a perfect day. So I did want to say that, last week when Traveling Light, beloved band Traveling Light was here, they sang a song, I dreamed of rain and the rain came. Oh boy! So just saying, we're pretty powerful manifestors here at the Center for Spiritual Living Castle Rock. So it rained, and it rained, and it rained this week. So yeah, we're happy to have it. We're so grateful, very happy to have it. So we are moving into the month of August, moving into this new idea and this new concept of spiritual recreation. That's our theme for the month. And when I really embraced it this week, and I have to laugh, I'm giggling last night when Tony and I are getting ready to go to bed. He's like, what are you giggling at? And I said, it's just been an amazing week. I just love it how my life embodies and takes on the message every single week that I'm working on presenting here. It's just been amazing. And he says, yeah, why don't you pick a topic sometime of what it feels like to be a multimillionaire sometime. And I laughed at him and I said, okay. I said, well, I actually have that feeling now. It's been a tremendous week. Moving into this idea of spiritual recreation, and I really embodied it. And I got to thinking, it's really about recreation. My talk title for today is, Are We Having Fun Yet? And there's lots of different ways you can view that. Remember when you were young and you were going on these long road trips and you were always asking your parents, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And sometimes are we having fun yet can be given a question and kind of a snide remark. When you're working hard with a group or you're working on something, you're like, are we having fun yet? But my question is, are we having fun yet? Because if the answer is anywhere near a no, then it's time to do some spiritual recreating. That's all I'm saying. And if the answer is yes, I still think it's a good opportunity to do some spiritual recreating. Robert Holden in Living Wonderfully says, on average, children smile 400 times a day. Adults, 15. Now, I just want to point out, when I'm giving you these average facts, I know it really doesn't apply to this group because this is the happiest, most smiling, joyful group that I know. And I'm including myself in that because I smile pretty much all the time. So I know I smile more than 15 times a day. Children laugh 150 times a day. Adults 6 times a day. I thought that was a little high, actually. I know a few adults that don't laugh at all throughout the whole day, but granted, it's an average, so work with me on this. Children play between 4 to 6 hours a day. Adults only 20 minutes a day. Again, I think that's a little high. I'm going to ask you, did you play yesterday? Yeah. And gratefully, it's a Saturday, so many, many people probably played yesterday. I can ask on Friday, did you play Friday? Think about your week. How many times this week did you play? And think about what that word means to you, to play. So what's happened? What's happened between the time where we're children and we're playing and we're smiling and we're laughing and then we grow up to be adults? I really embraced that and got to thinking about it this week. And if you really think about it, when do kids most of the time get in trouble? When they're playing. Aren't they? Don't they usually get in trouble when they're playing? Think about that. Think about all the times you got in trouble when you were growing up. You were probably playing, weren't you? Some form of playing that the parental or adult around didn't quite think was good. I know my twin niece and nephew, they'll get at it. They love to play. I swear, Michael, my nephew, his goal in life is to play. That school is a nuisance to him because it keeps him from the time that he could play. He loves to play. And sometimes they'll be going at it and laughing and playing, and my sister is always getting on him. Calm down, settle down, no roughhousing. So I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, right from the get-go, aren't we trained to not play if we tend to get in trouble whenever we're playing? I mean, I know that, some of you have heard me speak of this before, but my biological father was unskillful, let's put it that way. He was very unskillful. And my sister and I experienced probably every single type of abuse that you could possibly imagine while we were growing up. And I really remember one time, it was very rare, we would play and laugh, and we were playing and laughing and just having that feeling of freedom rolling from us. And he came out of nowhere and punished us severely for laughing too loud. And so it's that kind of conditioning that I think that we learn to grow up with all around this idea of play and being free. Yet I know I have all the qualities that I have today because of my experiences that have brought me to here, and I wouldn't change a single one of them, not for anything. So I do want to say that, not for 1 second feel sorry for me for what I've gone through, because it's brought me to who and what I am now, and I smile pretty much all the time. I am so in love with life. It's wonderful. The Native Americans, they have this saying, the soul would have no rainbow if the eyes had no tears. So let's not begrudge those things that bring us so much depth in our life. But if you really think about it, having fun was seen as kind of dangerous. I think that when you're a parent, your biggest job is to make sure that you keep your kids alive until the time they reach the time that they're an adult. Isn't that kind of the thing? I mean, all you parents out there, I have to ask, just keep them safe, keep them alive, and usually when they're having a good time and being free and laughing and playing, that can be seen as a little dangerous. So we step back from that. We caution that almost immediately. And then there's this other thing called permission. We lose this idea, I think, when we become an adult. We lose that permission to have fun, to let go, to be frivolous with our joyful moments, to be frivolous with our emotions of laughing and playing. We have to give ourselves permission to enjoy life. A lot of our society is built on, you got to work hard, you got to look like you're busy, you got to look like you're accomplishing something all the time. And when we play, we've gotten this idea that when we're playing, we're not accomplishing something. Actually, it's just the opposite. We accomplish a whole lot when we're playing, when we're laughing, and when we're joyful. And I'm going to go through that this morning. So that is really the essential for true health and happiness, is when we do have that laughter and that joy and that play. Gabriel Iglesias, he's known as Fluffy. He's a comedian. Does anybody here know Gabriel Iglesias? He goes by Fluffy, but he is an absolutely hilarious comedian. I just love him to pieces. And he was invited to Saudi Arabia to do several shows there, and he was, of course, a little on edge about it. He actually thought it was a joke at first, and he told his agent, he said, give them this really ridiculous amount and tell them that they have to wire it and it has to come today or nothing else. And he gets a call later from an agent and said, ridiculous called and you're going to Saudi Arabia. So he goes to Saudi Arabia. Yes, he goes there. He's thinking, I didn't even know these people smiled. I didn't even know they laughed. So what's up with that? Why do they want a comedian? So he's on his way, gets picked up at the airport, he's on his way into the city, and all of a sudden the driver takes a hard turn and starts heading out into the desert. He's thinking, oh no, this is not good. And so he asked the driver, so, excuse me, no disrespect, pardon me if I seem to not know what I'm talking about here, but I was thinking that the space where we're going to do the show is in the city. And the guy goes, no, you don't understand. Things are very different here. We aren't allowed to smile. We aren't allowed to laugh. There's these things called religious police that literally police that all day long, every day in the city. We can't have a show of you coming in the city. We have to go to the secret place. And so I want to ask you, are there religious police in your head? Are there? On a day-to-day basis, do you catch yourself policing your ability to let go and let loose and have some fun and have some play and have some joy? I have. I can admit that. For many years, I had really staunch religious police in my head that didn't really allow for it. And I'm just asking, let's take a look at that this morning as we're moving into spiritually recreating ourselves and finding out if we're having fun yet. We can get disconnected from our sense of fun. Our lives can be structured and serious, and there's no room for spontaneity, says Stuart Brown. He's a doctor. He's a psychiatrist, actually. has tenure at the University in San Diego. But he's also the president of the National Institute for Play. Did you know that there was a National Institute for Play? I did not know that either. I thought, how cool. Wouldn't that be neat to work for a place that is the National Institute of Play? He goes on to say, you're probably a responsible, hardworking, moral person, very involved with taking care of your kids, your parents, your family, your home. And you're so involved with all this that you don't get to experience playful moments. I mean, how many times have you really gotten so involved in the day-to-day and it feels like survival mode, but you know, if anyone were to ask, you'd probably say, oh, I'm not surviving, I'm good. But how many of you have fallen into that rut and can honestly recall a time when you've been like that? I know I can. And so he's saying, but you're not experiencing playful moments. When you're not honoring your own need for unfettered joy. And I believe that wholeheartedly, completely. So I wanted to share with you, you know, my Native American totem, my main Native American totem is the otter. Always has been since birth. You know, my great-grandmother was a full-blooded Native American, and I practice a lot of the Native American traditions in my life and have for many years. And I have always had quite an affinity to the otter. And something shifted in my life. Something allowed for this opening up and for me to give myself permission and to kind of let go, just like the beautiful song that Tom sang, that allows you to let go of anything that you're clinging to. And that is, when I was in my late teens or early 20s, there was a documentary on otters. And so, of course, as soon as I found out that it was coming on, I think I taped it, or I made sure that I was able to watch it. And I discovered something in that documentary that made a huge difference in my life. And they said that otters were the only animal known to man that's highest priority was to play. It wasn't to gather food, it wasn't to create a home, it wasn't even raising their young, even though they do a really good job of it. But it's to play, because they studied these otters for years, and they made these documentations, and they came up with this. And when I heard that, I thought, oh my gosh, that feels so good, but it feels so far away from where I was at that time. What if, you know, I got to thinking and asking myself, what if my highest priority is to play? So I'm going to ask you that. What if your highest goal, your highest priority, day in and day out, is to play? Now, it doesn't mean that, you know, things don't get done. It doesn't mean that you don't go and do your occupation with which you get wonderfully compensated for, that allows you to eat and have a roof over your head. What I'm talking about there is, what if, as you're going along those activities, what if your priority was to play, to enjoy, to actually step outside of the box and change our perception of it, change our thinking, change our life, change our thinking, recreate ourselves into this atmosphere of playing, because there's so much benefit from it, and I'm going to share that with you this morning. So back to the otters. You know, they're known for their sense of fun and play. The emphasis of the lives of otter people is that of service. They are very considerate, and many of their life experiences will present in ways in which their energies can be directed to the benefit of the earth, to benefit the earth and its inhabitants. That's my totem. And so when I saw that video and I heard that, it just woke me up. It was a definite moment in time for me. You know, otters being observed are an amazing thing, and I've got a very short clip. I mean, it's just a little over 30 seconds that I want to show you, because it's going to open your eyes a little bit. There's many out there that I could have picked, but I picked this one because it's short, and it shows perfectly how he loves to play with this little child. Thank you, Eric. Oops, we might have to watch it in little mode. You can just show it in the small screen. There we go.
I think the otter really is. That's pretty good. Stayed there.
Moving out of there. Aren't they awesome? They are awesome. So I'd always said, I feel more comfortable in the water than I do on land. That's why I'm an otter. You get me in the water and I am happy, happy. So that's my natural state. And as soon as I recognized and realized that and stepped into my natural state, my life took a turn. It wasn't hard or as hard to live positively. It wasn't hard or as hard to manifest that which I knew in my heart I desired. And so there's something about going within, recognizing and realizing your natural state, giving yourself permission to play and to have fun with whatever it is that you're doing. So all this week I've been asking myself, am I having fun yet? No matter what it is that I'm doing. And if you can just imagine, I sang and danced while I did laundry. I sang and danced while I did just about everything this week. And it was a glorious week, too, because my dear, dear old-time friends from Philadelphia came in from out of town, and we got together Friday night and got to play then, and it's just been wonderful. And so we're entering into this idea of recreating ourselves so that we can, when we say, are we having fun yet, we say yes. Ernest Holmes says, life is not just something to be endured. It is something to be lived in joy, in a fullness without limit. It's not something to be endured. I don't endure my life. I love my life. Not a day goes by where I don't tell Tony how much I love my life. It's a wonderful feeling. And it just keeps getting easier and easier and better as we step into this atmosphere of that. So it's really been my compass, you could say, especially if and when, and it happens to me, if and when I get focused and centered on accomplishing a particular goal, or I get caught up in that analysis and that strategy and that drive of it all. And then I have to stop and say, am I having fun? Because isn't that really what it's all about? So I know some of you are experts at having fun. I know this. I know that some of you have themed parties, and I hear about all the things that you do outside of this center, and you're experts, absolute experts. And so if you aren't having fun, it's time to recreate. And I've got 3 steps that I'm going to go over that we're going to talk about that's going to help us do that this week and going forward. And the first one, beautifully sang by Tom, is let go. Let it go. Let it all go. You kind of have to let go of all of the preconceived ideas and expectations of anything if you want to have fun. Because I guarantee you 99.9% of the time it is not going to match up to what your preconceived ideas and expectations are. So just like the song, let go of what you're clinging to, it's usually about how you're thinking that something is supposed to look. Like this week, another really fun thing that I did is on Tuesday, first time I'd ever been to Red Rocks, ever in my life. It was amazing. I went with Danielle and a whole bunch of friends, and we went to see the movie Pitch Perfect. And as you know, what happened Tuesday? I dreamed of rain, and the rain came. It rained all day, and it pretty much rained all night. And I'd never been to Red Rocks, and it's entirely outside, and I didn't exactly know this, but I did have my umbrella. But normally, I normally in any other stand, I wouldn't be all that hip to go see a movie in the middle of the rain. But I let it all go because, we were entering into this idea of going and having fun and playing, and we had an amazing time in the rain. Mm-hmm. It was great. So I had to drop my expectations in order to do that. What'd you say?
It didn't rain the whole show.
It didn't. It did not. It actually rained all the way up until the show started, and then it stopped, and then it started raining when the show ended. So it was really perfect. Absolutely perfect. And then if you think about it, while we were at Red Rocks, think of U2. The band U2, it dawned on me, I don't know if you know this or not, but they really became super famous after their presentation at Red Rocks because it rained really hard during their concert and the clouds were hanging really low, and it caused this surreal effect when they played their music, and somebody videoed it and it went viral, literally. Back in the day when it was hard for things to go viral because, we didn't have the Facebook and the YouTube and all that, and it really made them famous. And they wanted, a lot of people wanted to cancel that concert. Had they canceled the concert, U2's experience and their successfulness in their profession might not have been the same. So everything I know happens on purpose to support us. I know that without a shadow of a doubt. So Going back to the song, the number one thing, let it go. We got to drop it, release what's holding on to you, and just fall into God's love. Whatever that is for you, you just fall into it. Let it be. There's nothing more that I need to do. There's nothing more that I need to say. I'm just falling into God's love, just like the song says. And I tell you, the perfect example of that, it never fails. When Tony is away from work, his day job during the week up at home office, selling advertising for the Science of Mind magazine, on the very few and rare occasions that he's off and out enjoying a meal, we'll be doing something fun, he'll get an email or a phone call from somebody wanting to buy an ad. It never fails. It happens every single time. And he said, I really should stay away from work because I get a lot more work done when I'm not at work. So that's just it. You know, Osho says, don't seek, don't search, don't ask, don't knock, don't demand. Relax. If you relax, it comes. If you relax, it is there. If you relax, you start vibrating with it. So you see, it's important. It's really important for us to enter into this idea and this scenario of letting go, having fun, playing a little bit, because then we start vibrating with that which we want to attract into our life. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? It does to me. So the second thing we want to do is release fear. Release fear. It's really hard to play. It's really hard to have a good time if you're fearing about something, isn't it? You got to step outside of your comfort zone. You know, fear is really forgetting everything is all right. And everything is always all right, no matter what. So when you let go of fear, you let go of that limitation. You're not limited anymore. There's a story I can tell you about my trek. When I went on my trek that I've told you about a few times from Florida to Alaska one year, I did I can't remember the name of that word, but sabbatical. I did a sabbatical for 4 months and drove from Florida to Alaska and had lots of experiences during that time. And because we're on this topic, there's a couple that really stand out in my mind. I don't remember where I was. I can't remember if I think I was still in the United States, but I was very north United States. And I like to find beautiful pull-offs to, eat lunch or to sleep for the night. And I found this perfect pull-off that you had to kind of do a sharp curve, and it went way down this steep incline next to this beautiful river. And it was kind of hard for me to maneuver to get in there, but I did. I did it anyway, and I was all peaceful, and I was ready to just kick back and enjoy. And literally within minutes of me being there, out of nowhere, and I am not exaggerating, came hundreds and hundreds of boys and men. They came out of nowhere. I mean, all these trucks and cars came screeching down this thing. I figure, in hindsight, it must have been some kind of Boy Scout thing that they had planned, like regional Boy Scout thing, because there were hundreds of boys and men surrounding me almost immediately. And I started getting really scared, because I was in a real, and I didn't, in the moment, you got to go with me here, because in the moment, I mean, literally in minutes, they all arrived in this really high energy, yelling and screaming and getting out of their cars. And I got scared because I was in a vulnerable, I don't know what I'm doing, but I was in a vulnerable position at that moment. It was just me. I'm all alone in this pull-off, and there's hundreds of boys and men now all around me. And then it dawned on me during that time. My mind started racing with all kinds of scenarios, and I felt myself getting scared. And this Ernest Holmes quote came straight to my mind, because I was starting prac class at that time. Prepare your mind to receive the best that life has to offer. Because when my mind was coming up with all those scenarios, I wasn't preparing my mind to receive the best that life had to offer. So I had to recreate myself in that moment. I had to recreate what this moment looked and felt like to me, and enter it. And I had to decide, do I want peace? Do I want to enjoy myself here? Then I need to change my mind about it. So we got to let go of fear. A very similar experience happened on the same trip. I was in Dawson City. Dawson City, spring had sprung. And I did not know this. But in Dawson City, on a particular night, I don't know if it's because the ice broke or what caused it, but the entire city partied hard and let loose for the entire night. Nobody went to bed. There were people in the streets, and I had a little 23-foot Coachman Catalina Sport RV. And so I was in my RV, and I was bedded down for the night, and the town was not. And they partied hard, and I had no idea what was going on because it was amazing. But this group of people came by and climbed on top of my RV and started rocking it back and forth. I mean, they were crazy. I'm telling you, the whole town was crazy. And it reminded me of a Northern Exposure episode where the ice broke. You know what I'm talking about? And they just, it's like you build up all this tension during the wintertime. You know, they don't see daylight, they don't see light. And then when it happens, they just, whoa. And they rolled all over my personal space, and I was freaking out, to say the least. You know, the RV's rocking back and forth. I'm going, oh my, I'm sorry. And I was thinking, oh my God, are they going to topple this or what? I mean, people were like going to the bathroom in the streets. I mean, they were taking their clothes off. It was wild. So that was another opportunity for me to just go within and decide that I wanted to create something different. You know, I had to kind of, have you ever been in that scenario where you kind of have to match the energy of where you are in order to have peace? So I decided, well, calm and peacefulness is not the order of the evening, so I need to match the energy, you know, turn on some music, get a little wild and crazy myself, do whatever I need to do to step outside of that fear and into that life, into that living moment. So it's to be vulnerable. Let go of fear, be vulnerable. And then you can feel yourself release. Because when you have that release take place, and then that joy and that fun and that frivolity bubbles up within you, I know you know what I'm talking about. That's when you enter into that fun atmosphere. David White, whom I absolutely love, he's an international poet, and he lives in Boulder. He wrote this poem that I'm going to share with you. It's called We Are Here. Essentially, to risk ourselves in the world, we are a form of invitation to others and to otherness. We seem meant to hazard ourselves for the right thing, for the right woman, the right man, for the son, for the daughter, for the right work, or for a gift given against all odds. And in all this continual risking, the most profound courage may be found in just the simple willingness to allow ourselves, amidst the hazard and vulnerability, to be happy along the way. Yeah. So how many are willing to risk yourself among all that is in your life and all that you're dealing with and all that you're doing to be happy along the way? How many of you? Oh, good. I was like, oh, crap, I'm not seeing any hands. Awesome. So laughter and joy and happiness, it's healthy for you. It's documented over and over and over again. It's been documented. Laughter. I don't know what I'm doing, sorry. Laughter is, it's just me blowing it out. Laughter is the best medicine. You know, a good laugh boosts the immune system, relieves depression and stress, relaxes all of the body's muscles. It's good exercise for the heart. It helps prevent heart attacks. It cleanses the lungs and provides an overall sense of well-being. I know an author who, upon getting a cancer diagnosis, from that point on, in the 7 months that she did alternative treatment to heal or to bring her body back into wellness and become cancer-free, from that point on, she didn't allow any negative images, any negative words, any negative energy at all to enter her field of awareness. Her and her husband watched comedians and comedy movies every single night. She made it a point to laugh, and real laugh, every single night. When I talk about a real laugh, I brought an example for you. We're going to show this clip for about 35 seconds. And here is the perfect example of a real laugh. So how many of you recently can remember yourself just really laughing, just like that? Where you're trying to even breathe, you're laughing so hard. That's right, I'm loving seeing those hands. Definitely, a real laugh. So the third thing is to be in the moment. To be able to have fun and play and feel joy, you got to be in the moment. You can't be thinking about anything in the past, and you can't be thinking about anything in the future. The only time that has any power and significance, we go through this a lot here, is the moment. The power is in the moment. Right? All right, let's do it.
For real?
For real.
Okay, stand up.
Let's do it.
So you don't have to do anything extreme. I would just shift your weight at first. And then my kids tell me that I have been created as a dancer primarily to encourage other people to dance because I do it so poorly. So just shift your body, do whatever you feel, and we're going to have some fun. You ready? Here we go. Please sing along. It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Yeah. I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. Yeah. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy, clapping along. Bring me down, okay, nothing. Bring me down. My love is beautiful.